excited to have you all here. We've got a lot of great things on the agenda, and we're just glad we've made it towards the end of the year. We'll have Alejandra come up to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. So I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Alondra Baena. I'm a senior at Springdale High School. And I'd like to first off take an opportunity to thank everybody for having me here, and thank the school board for all the work that you guys have done this school year. So to give you a little bit of information about myself, I have grown up in the Springdale School District from Turnbow Elementary to Sonora Middle School to Lakeside Junior High, and now at Springdale High School. Yeah, and honestly, it has been quite a roller coaster. But it has been a great roller coaster that I'm glad to say that I'll be happily, graduating in May. So I'm so sorry. The extracurriculars I'm involved in at Springdale High School, I am part of the IB program. I'm part of the Law Academy. I recently joined the Student Forum, which I think you guys might know Jackson Alley started. I also am part of the Arkansas United Youth Committee. I'm part of National Honor Society. After school, I haven't been able to participate in as many extracurriculars at school because I work part-time every day after school. But yeah, and then I also did, sports starting off in junior high and high school. I did basketball, and I've, been able to help out with class council. Yeah, and I think that's a little bit about myself.
Well, did you ever have time to sleep? When you look at your resume and everything that you've done over the last few years, it's pretty incredible. And when you say you're also working, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite class that you've had in the last couple of years at Springdale High?
I think the highlights of high school, honestly, have been Law Academy and IB. Law Academy because for my future career aspirations, I definitely want to go into a law-oriented career, and they've really been able to expose me into kind of a jump start into that field. And then IB has given me the opportunity to take more rigorous courses, which I've always loved the challenge, and I love the in-depth content that we've gotten to see that many other students at Springdale that aren't a part of the IB program would otherwise not be able to do. So,
Lord, do you have any questions?
I have one. What made you pick the U of A? I'm looking at University of Virginia, Richmond, George Washington, Chicago, Georgetown. Those are some very incredible schools you got accepted to. What made you pick the U of A?
So first and foremost, I think my family would be in proximity would be a big one, and then they did offer me the best financial aid package, and so I think the long run goal for me is to stay at U of A for undergrad, and then since I'm hoping to eventually become like an attorney of some sort, law school would be what's most highlighted in a resume for that. So I would aim high for law school. But unfortunately, I did get waitlisted at Georgetown and UChicago, so those were kind of the two that knocked it out.
Gotcha. I'm glad you're going to be close.
Thank you.
If you could tell a student that's getting ready to come to Springdale High or actually any of our high schools, what would you tell them to prepare them for the next 3 years to have an experience similar to yours?
I would definitely say to get involved. I think especially Springdale High School offers great academies and great extracurriculars, and they've just built a very close community, and it's always welcomed me and everything that I've been able to do. And so getting involved and, just kind of staying on top of everything, especially if you're, high achieving, that would be very beneficial.
So when do you finish all your IB testing and all the final stuff for IB?
Oh gosh, that's still a while to go. But so my last day of school will be, I think, April 28th, give or take. And so I will start testing May 10th, I believe. And then my last test is on May 21st. So they're kind of dispersed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Good luck on that. I know those are really tough.
Thank you.
You don't find out until much later if you actually got the diploma. So
Yeah.
congratulations on being a candidate, though, and good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you have any family here that you would like to introduce?
Yeah, my mom is a register at Turnbow Elementary. So there's that. And then my little sister is an 8th grader at Lakeside Junior High. And then if I could also give a shout out to Miss Turley and Mr. Jones, the staff at Springdale High School, and they've really been a help and a rock to get me through senior year, honestly.
Congratulations.
Well, congratulations on a job well done. Board, we've had the agenda for a couple of days. Dr. Cleveland, we have some adjustments to the agenda we would like to make.
Sure.
If possible, we would like to move patron comments up above consent agenda. And then face coverings also above consent agenda.
Patron comments being first.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hutchinson, a second by Mrs. Creek to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Tonight, I know there's been a lot of discussion on any changes to the face mask mandate. If you are here to offer your comments, suggestions, or just would like to let us know something, this is the time that you can do that. We are going to limit comments to 15 minutes total, so each individual can have anywhere between 2 and 2.5 minutes roughly, so that we can go ahead and move on after that. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, so we have, just to also let you know, we've taken comments via email, phone call, we've done 2 different surveys, so any discussions made have been after a lot of input from the community. So with that, I'll open if anyone, please.
Hello, my name's Tom Mulcahy. I'm a resident in Springdale. Concerning face masks, hot topic. I get it. I understand the emotions. A lot of people, different ideas. But what I do for a living is an analyst. I'm an analytical person. I think, I look at data all the time. And one of the things I've learned in this last year is the efficacy of a face mask. The ability to filter things out. The size of an N95, which is, no one here is wearing an N95. One person's got an N95, probably not fit like a hospital would fit it, but it looks pretty tight. Probably, at the best it can do, 95% of the time, is 0.3 microns filtering ability. The virus is 0.06 to 0.12 microns in size. So it's like having a chain link fence and a sparrow flying through it. You can't stop it. It will go through it. The rest of the mask, t-shirt, everything else you buy, the gaiters, you can't stop anything with that from a virus point of view. Understand there's other things like bacteria, there's pollen, and things like that has an effect. But when it comes to a virus, it's not stopping it. So the question is, do we care about the truth? How important is it to really say what's healthy for children? Keep in mind, the death rate is very low. It's like the flu. How many students are in the schools? How many adults work in the schools? I don't know the answer to that. You guys do. How many of those have been diagnosed with COVID flu or the COVID? I don't know the number of that. I don't know if it's published anywhere. How many of them have been in the hospital? How many of them have actually been in ICU? How many have actually passed away? Due to, not as I got in a car accident and had COVID, but actually had the sickness. So the question is, you look at those stats, the CDC will tell you that someone who is 5 years and younger is more likely to die from a lightning strike. Someone who is 5 to 14 is more likely to die from a dog biting or something like that. It's just rare. And it's so rare that someone's affected by this. And I understand the concern to be safe, but you think of the things kids don't get, especially the younger kids, the facial responses that a kid needs to see and understand and communicate. If you're hard of hearing, it's really hard for people to understand what you're saying. And so these are some of the things you got to weigh and ask the question is the mask really doing anything good? Is it real? Look at the numbers. The states that masked up, the states that didn't mask, look at the countries, the counties, everything. The data shows it's the same pattern, always and forever. If the mask stopped it, when Mr. Hutchinson put it in Band-Aid in last year, we would not have seen we would have seen a different rate of performance, but we didn't. And so if we continue it, my concern is you guys aren't following the truth.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We have
I
to
was
leave it.
finishing up. Thank you
very
much.
We appreciate your input.
My name is Elizabeth Carnder. I'm also a resident. I'd like to piggyback off of what he was saying, and I do have some research from the CDC and the National Institute of Health. If you care to take it and read it, it says pretty much what he just said. The virus is so small that the masks, especially the cloth masks, really don't do anything. If anything, they help with our fear. So it's a Band-Aid for fear. I would like to ask the question is, do we think these children are actually wearing these masks appropriately? The way that they're supposed to be worn to decrease transmission of the virus? No. And are we also gonna say that they don't transmit the virus when they're eating, when they're drinking? No, if you have COVID, you have COVID. So if you're eating or drinking without a mask on, you still have an opportunity for transmission of disease. Playing a sport, I mean, these kids are running around with all these masks on. They're getting sweaty, they're getting wet. Part of the research in, I think it's the National Institute of Health article, shows that when a mask, whether it be cloth, whether it be something that you get from a hospital, when it gets moist, when it gets wet, efficacy goes down. So these kids are sweating, they're playing, they're getting, they're eating, they're getting wet. These masks aren't doing anything. If anything, they're affecting how they can see their teacher and have a smile. My husband is deaf. This is a nightmare. He reads lips. So this is a nightmare for him, and nobody cares about that. And they just don't understand why, he can't hear my children are fine, thank goodness, but this has been a nightmare for him. If anything, make it optional. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Right now, masks are just Band-Aids for your fear. So, do you want these articles?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to address the psychological issues. I was a school counselor for 15 years, and I've been around children a long time, and I've seen what something like this can actually do to a child's psyche. And to be honest, that's my concern at this moment, is what are we doing to these children? The thing I think about is when I dealt with high school children, junior high students, where do they get their social, or where do they even get their information that they talk to amongst each other? It's not really their parents, it's their peers. And they're not interacting the same way with the mask that they would normally interact with their peers. Went the other day to get my hair cut, just to give you an example. My beautician said, I know you were in the school system for a long time, and I haven't told anybody this, but she said, my 15-year-old niece last week just tried to commit suicide. And she said, the note and everything that she left behind was saying, I cannot take this anymore. I cannot take being away from my friends. I cannot take wearing the mask and not interacting like normal. What are we doing to our children? I mean, yes, I understand there's a health issue here, but we need to be thinking about their mental issue as well. My daughter's a teacher. She sees this on a regular basis. She's like, Mom, these kids are going to be 3 years behind because of all of this. And she says, I don't know how we're going to catch up. And so I'm just saying, from a psychological standpoint, I'm hoping you guys will consider that as another thing to think about when you're dealing with these masks, and how are they affecting our children as far as outside of social and interaction and the playground and all of the things that normal children get to do, our children are not getting to do. So I'm just asking, from a person that has worked in the school system for a long time myself, that you will think about that, and you will think about the psyche that it could affect on our children.
Ma'am, could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Amanda Page.
Thank you.
We can have one more if anyone else before we. Okay, we'll close patron comments. Board, I know this has been on everyone's mind.
So that's three comments? And it's a pretty serious subject, right?
Correct. Board, I'm opening up discussion. I'm going to take my mask off because I can talk better, obviously, than this. One thing that I would like everyone to consider is we have over 23,000 students. In 23,000 students, we have minorities and populations that have been affected far beyond what any of us have seen. I haven't had anyone in my family that has been affected, but I know that they have. So I need you, as we discuss this, to also understand that we have to respect everyone that comes to our schools as we open this up for discussion. It doesn't mean we disagree with you. It doesn't mean that we disagree with them. It just means that we as a board need to see our population as a whole. And with that,
So I think a few comments need to be made just for the general public, that the school board is in this position because we got zero guidance from the governor and the Department of Education. So it's really left to the board to make this decision. So it's tough. I mean, and masks have become a topic of controversy. And if you get caught up in the noise, you can get labeled pro or not pro mask in a hurry. So you got to kind of keep yourself out of the noise and understand that we've got a difficult decision here, but we feel like we want to offer some options and some opportunity to get out of the mask. And I'm not anti-mask, and I told him in there before we came in here, I'm pro-face, so I'm probably lean more towards the voluntary and no mask outside category. That's where I lean, just to be upfront. I'll probably have some more comments, but I thought it was good to set it up that we're in a difficult situation.
you're in a very difficult situation. Clinton?
I would like to add, thank you for the comments. I'm pretty shocked that we only had one-sided comments. But I do also want to add that our position forces us to take emotion out of our choice. We have to think about the needs of all the students and the teachers and everyone, as was mentioned, and how they're going to react to whichever side we decide. And we have to think about the logic and what's going on there, no matter what our feelings are or our emotions are. So whatever comes out or whatever we vote, you have to realize that we're working on a lot of data that you may not have seen, that we've been gathering for months. So please just be patient with us.
I don't have a whole lot really just yet besides, I probably am right there with Kevin. I mean, I hate where I walked in here without a mask on. I forgot to put it on because I don't wear one all day at my office. So, but my wife's a teacher and I have 4 kids and they wear a mask all day. And so if they have to wear a mask when they're in a public school building, then I'm going to wear one too until we figure something else out. But I want my kids to go to school like they did 2 years ago. I don't want them to wear a mask. I personally don't think that they do a whole lot. I was a paramedic for 8 years and we wore PPE to protect ourselves, and I'm not sure that me wearing a mask is helping you a whole lot, but I lean towards the voluntary side of if you want to wear one, great. I mean, if you want to wear whatever you want to wear every day, that's your choice. But I also know that it's a really hot topic and it's split pretty much 50-50 no matter who you ask. Probably the most one-sided answer I've gotten so far is that with elementary age. I feel like elementary leans much more toward not wearing them, and I feel like secondary leans much more toward wearing them. Well, that makes sense because secondary kids are more mature and they understand things more and they know the big picture, and elementary kids, I mean, my first grader doesn't know anything different. I mean, he went through kindergarten virtually, practically, and now he's wearing a mask every day in first grade. So he doesn't really know anything different, but I also know that he doesn't wear it. Every time I see pictures of him on Seesaw or whatever, his nose is always sticking out. And we went to Disney World on spring break, and I bet a Disney World person told him 100 times in 3 days to pull his mask up. He just doesn't wear it. I hope that we can figure out a way to get rid of masks, but do it in a way that we respect everybody's choices. I hope quickly we can get rid of them outside when the kids are outside running and playing. If my kids can go play baseball and basketball and soccer and not wear a mask, then I think they could do that at school too. But being in a classroom with 20 kids and a teacher and everybody having different opinions, and some kids, mom and dads want them to wear them and some kids don't, and you can't get away from each other like you can outside, then that's a little bit different of an issue and a discussion than being outside. And ultimately, for me, we have 6 weeks of school left. And for me, is it worth causing a giant ripple and a giant wave for 6 more weeks of school? And I'm not one to just go with the flow, and I'm not one to just say yes so we don't upset people. But at the same time, I have to think, and we have to think about our administrative team in this building, our administrators at the schools, 3,000 employees. What are they going to have to deal with if we say whatever our answer is it going to upset 50% of our population to where we have employees not going to work, we have kids not coming to school? Was it worth it for 6 weeks of school left? Because ultimately, we need all of our kids to be in a seat in a school building learning. And if they're at home because their mom or dad is mad because we said you don't have to wear a mask, that's not beneficial to those kids. And ultimately, for years and years and years, since way before I got on this board, our number one priority has always been what's best for the kids of this district. And so it's a big decision, and we have a lot to talk about and think about, but those are just my initial thoughts.
I'm going to jump to Eddie so that in case he has to
Okay.
leave before. Eddie, we're going to jump to you in case you have to.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad I went right after Nick because he kind of hit it right in the head. It's a very hard decision. No matter what we decide, we're gonna get phone calls, we're gonna get texts, people are gonna complain no matter what we do today. So I would like to first say, whatever we decide, please respect that and know that we will be getting multiple messages and emails and phone calls from people, including upset parents, no matter which way we go. I'm with Nick and everybody that I've talked to feels like the controversy that this is going to cause over 6 weeks left of school. Kids are going to start fighting because, we already have a large minority population, right? So then you're going to create you're a mask wearer and I'm not a mask wearer. What do you think that's going to create with the kids? You don't think they're going to fight over that and make fun of each other over that? Tell each other, well, you're scared and I'm not. So that's the hardest for me, is that. And I didn't catch her name, but she spoke about psyche and the kid's psyche. Well, what about the kids who lost their mom or their grandma? What about those kids? You don't think they have issues and they have problems? I'm only trying to.
Excuse me.
I'm not gonna go back and forth because this isn't about arguing. This is about just saying what's in each other's minds so we can get to the vote part. So I see your point, but I also see other people's points. I've got a very good friend who works in the school system whose mom died. And she was everybody's rock. And she was, I'm not going to wear one. Do they work? Do they don't work? I don't know. You can say they don't work all day long. You can say they do work all day long. I don't know. I do know that the fear is real, especially in our community. And frankly, I'm a little upset that we didn't have that input because I feel like we could have asked somebody to come in here because I feel like everything that we've talked about is really one-sided, especially with the people that came on. I can tell you that there's fear. Do they wear it because of fear? Maybe. Does it work? I don't know. It might not work, but it works for fear, right? So if fear is going to stop almost half of our Hispanic kids from coming to school for 6 weeks, 6 weeks. Why don't we just call it quits and just go ahead and do virtual the rest of the year? It's only 6 weeks. Everybody can stay home and not wear a mask. So, again, I respect everybody's side. I'm sick of them too. I want them off. But because of the controversy behind it, my opinion is we got 6 weeks. They don't work, that's fine. It's at 6 weeks. Just let the kids keep coming to school. I promise you, attendance is going to drop drastically. It is.
I'm going to ask this. We've given everybody that's spoken and everybody that's in here the respect to speak or to give time. Please give the board members the exact same thing. It's not fair for me to turn around and say, no, that's rude of me, and I apologize that I said it like that. But interrupting a board member when they're talking and trying to say, they didn't interrupt anyone else. So please give that respect. This is hard. None of us want to be here. None of us want this. If I could have told you a year ago that this was what this year was going to look like, I would have told you, A, I don't want this, and B, where can I leave? So please, number one, give us the respect that we've earned, because if you think what you're hearing tonight is my phone and every single one of these board members' phones, emails, things that people coming to our house, I mean, we have gotten everything from both sides. The surveys are completely down the middle. I have never seen something so split. And so all I ask for you tonight, while we discuss this, is to please give us the same respect when we're talking that we would like to give you.
That's pretty much all I've got. I mean, you know, the fighting and the controversy and the division is what I'm worried about, and that's the only reason I'm making this decision. I don't care if it works or not. I'm making my decision based on division, controversy, and kids are going to be missing out on school. I promise you. I promise you.
So I want to echo what Nick and Eddie both said. Like, first of all, we have to keep this in perspective that it is only 6 weeks left of school. And the other thing that I think we need to keep in perspective is, first of all, we're here for the kids. The kids are always our top priority. The other thing is, we all have other jobs, other professions. We are not in the school system. And so I like to always throw them under the bus, but we have 3 amazing assistant superintendents who are over each of our levels. And after many conversations with them, I completely trust what they believe, which is, why would we upset something for 6 weeks? Those 3 ladies and all building administrators, teachers, oh my word, huge shout out to all of you for what you've done this year. But these 3 ladies especially have worked really, really, really hard over last summer and this year to get our virtual students what they need, to get our in-person students what they need, and to try to shift at this moment when we have so many parents who have made their decisions for this school year based on the mask mandate that we announced last summer. They couldn't change. At this point, with 6 weeks left to go, they absolutely could not change midstream and get the kids that would want virtual into virtual. It just wouldn't work. We had to ask teachers to move at the last minute. We had to ask teachers to move buildings, to switch to remote or on site, depending on where we needed them. So it is like a huge mechanism that is all interconnected. I hate the mask. I wish we didn't have to wear them. I do. And I also agree. I don't know that they work. I don't. But I know that they do make people feel better. And if feeling better gets our kids to school, then that is the most important thing to me. And I feel like in my job here, and this is a job, we take it very seriously, that's very important. So I also agree with Kevin and Nick that if we're outside and kids can distance, if your mom sends you to school with a mask and says, don't take that off at recess, I don't want to cause the fights on the playground either, but at least they have an option to social distance at recess that they don't have in the classroom. So I would be very much in favor of letting kids not wear them when they're outside. I would also be very much in favor of putting an end date so that we say at the end of the school year, which is, the end of May, we start summer school very soon after that with smaller classrooms, with fewer kids in a room. And maybe that's a really good test of masks are optional because we're starting with a smaller group of people, and they would have the chance to know up front we're not going to require them. So I'm kind of throwing that out as an option as well. So anyway, again, shout out to all the teachers who made this work and the administrators who made this work this year, because lots and lots of moving pieces. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. It's been moving pieces all year, and they have just done a remarkable job.
Well, I really don't know if there's a whole lot that I can add to what everybody's already said here. I'll just tell you my personal belief is like everybody else has stated. These things suck. I'm tired of them. I hate masks. If I never have to see another mask, it'll be too soon. But I have also done, beyond the research that we've done as a district, as an administrative team, I've done my own research at some of the schools. I've talked to several of the principals at the lower levels and the higher levels, and I've talked to several of the students. My sister's a teacher in the schools, so I've got friends. I mean, I went to school at Springdale High School. I've got friends that are teachers. I've talked to them. And like Michelle said, it is 50-50. I mean, for every teacher that thinks that masks are the best thing ever, there's another one over here that thinks it's from the devil and the worst thing ever. So there's no way to make everybody happy. So I got on this board 13 years ago to try to do what was best for the kids. And so I always try to talk to some kids about these things. And it's pretty amazing. I've only really done it at one of the schools, at Springdale High School. The kids are like, hey, it's 6 weeks. We've made it this far. What's another 6 weeks? If it makes our classmates feel better, more comfortable. They decided to do a different kind of a prom just so everybody could be a part of it instead of a traditional prom that a lot of kids might not be able to participate in. That's pretty cool stuff for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders to come up with these ideas on their own just so everybody can be included. And it's all got to do with the mask and the COVID and all that stuff. So I'm with Eddie and everybody that stated that it's 6 weeks. We got to come up with maybe some ways to accommodate it at recess and things like that. But if it's gonna get everybody in school and get them in their seats and taking their test and doing what they got to do to get to next year to wear a mask, I'm okay with that. I want to make some accommodations. I want to figure out some ways to get the mask off of those kids during the day if we can. But May 31st, we can have a burn party in the courtyard and get rid of all the masks as far as I'm concerned. But from now to then, I think we gotta probably keep them on with some accommodations.
I mean, if you don't set an end date, it will never end.
That's right. I think we gotta do that for sure.
And I think you have to look at, we sit here and we've talked about our emotions getting back involved with it, with the fear and all that, and I understand that. So I would be in favor of going the voluntary route, but to bring the crowd in that's in the more mask wearing bunch, why don't we consider, outside, any activities outside, because they're playing sports. They played football, they played basketball, they're playing baseball. Outside, no mask. And inside, keep the mask on, but even go a little bit further. We've got some really kind of corny restrictions on inside the building that if we're going to keep the mask on, let's even loosen up some of those restrictions, even like at the elementary level, carpet time, flexible grouping, something, you got 25 kids eating lunch inside a 10 by 10 room with their mask off for 35 minutes and they can't go into a 2,000 square foot cafeteria. I got a kindergarten grandson there who's never been in the cafeteria. It's time for him to go to the cafeteria and feel what school feels like. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's just no common sense in eating lunch in a classroom and not going to the cafeteria.
So we've heard a lot, talk about not having them at recess. We have also, for the audience's information, we have talked to a lot of staff and a lot of people about the idea of a step-down approach, of the idea of keeping them inside the buildings because the students that need to or feel more comfortable wearing them cannot get away from students that aren't. And we need every student to feel safe. So board, what is your thoughts on the step down? I know we've talked about it. Does anyone want to move forward with that, or do we want more discussion?
I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm all about setting a date, because if we don't set a date, it's never going to happen, like Kevin said. So, and outside, I feel comfortable kids not wearing them outside, especially at recess. You got to run around and breathe. So So I'm good with them not wearing anything outside. And I would like to set an end date of end of class. Summer, as soon as we're out for summer, it's gone.
When's the school year is?
May 27th.
We can, but we've already talked. Is that the last teacher day? Is it 27th? 28th? Okay, 28th.
So where's our kinder? Let me ask you a legal question. I'm sorry, did I get in front of you? So if we don't have a state mandate and the city's not mandating, but the board's going to continue to mandate, are there, what if a kid shows up tomorrow and doesn't have a mask on?
So if you'll remember, just almost a year ago, before there was a state mandate for masks, you as a board implemented the face covering policy.
That's what I'm asking.
So, right. So your role as board is to make policy that can go further restrictive than a state or federal mandate, but you obviously cannot make a policy that is less restrictive than a federal or state mandate. You do that in lots of contexts. It's just usually not as controversial as this context. So if you continue with your policy and a student chooses to not wear a mask, we would look at it just like basically a dress code violation, where they ask the child to comply.
Do we currently take action with dress code violations now?
Now, I don't know at every building, but I believe what happens is most buildings have clothes available for students to get in compliance, and if they can't, they ask parents to bring them clothes that would make them compliant, or ask them to go home and return the next day. So you would still have that authority legally through policy, and that's how it would be implemented at the building if the policy continues.
I have a question, Mike. If we continue the mandate inside the buildings, do we also, if we want to move more forward, like Kevin is saying, do we need to word it where we take away the 6 feet? Or is that just a?
So your current policy talks about 6 feet. If you wanted to change that, then you could. If you wanted to change it inside to include the current CDC recommendation of 3 feet, you could do that, and then do the same thing with outside. So you would have flexibility there. Your current policy does include 6 feet, and the requirement that masks be worn when spacing of 6 feet is not able to be maintained.
How efficient have we been at that?
In maintaining 6 feet of space in a classroom, not very. I mean, you've been in classrooms, you've seen that. In different spaces, lunch, some buildings are able to do it better than others, just because some buildings have more space than others. So I don't really have a good assessment of that. I think every effort has been made to do that. But I would not, and y'all know because you've seen, kids have not been spaced 6 feet apart since August.
But could it be an appropriate change to the policy now that the state mandate's lifted? There's no local mandate. The board is going to continue to enforce for lack of better terms, an inside the building mask policy. And again, for lack of better terms, but just have normal school activities, just not have any language about the restrictions, since there is no.
But I think that's what I was just saying.
Yeah,
And because
so
of
you
that,
just cut
because-
all that out and just say, hey, it's just in the building only, or not in the building off, make it really simple.
Sure, it's your policy, and when you're dealing in a realm that's not mandated by any state or federal law, you've got every flexibility that you would want. So if you wanted to pull out the distancing altogether, you could absolutely do that.
And I'm just thinking out loud.
Sure. Okay.
Board, any more discussion, questions?
So I guess just for my clarity here, what did you call it? Like a step down approach? So is it one step? I mean, are we just saying today, like, you can wear your mask inside, don't wear it outside, no social distancing requirements inside, and that's how it is for the rest of school? Or are there any other steps between now and then, or any other changes between now and then that?
Well, I think ending the entire mandate with an end date. Okay. Were there any other, Dr. Cleveland, were there any other recommendations of step down other than how we just talked?
No, ma'am, there were only one question about buses at some point. Since buses are, would they be considered
inside the building?
Yeah, they would be considered inside.
But you gotta mention that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, again, to reiterate, we're 50-50 and we're trying to make some reasonable concessions around the board here, so.
And I think that getting kids back to as normal of a routine as possible, like you said, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I mean, if the masks work, then why do I have to be 6 feet away from anybody? So I think that's reasonable to think that if you're wearing a mask, then let's not restrict them any more than just the mask for the rest of the school year.
So far, I'm hearing no mask at recess, no restrictions, and an end date of May 28th. Are there any?
Good with the 27th, there's no more.
Well, the teachers are the 28th, so I'm giving them the flexibility.
The teachers the option.
The option.
What about physical activities, PE, sports?
Anything outside is,
What if it's inside? Basketball, dance?
well, I mean, if they're playing basketball inside, they've got them off.
So that's, do we need to specify that's a restriction that's being?
We need to worry about the main choir stuff. I know there's another thing.
Band and choir is the other.
Yes.
AAA has offered the concession
What's AAA offer?
that they can, when they're playing,
Be a local decision.
it's a local decision. So it could move
And right now, they are playing instruments.
with an open,
How are they playing instruments?
with a mask that has an opening.
We have Mr. Donnell.
I was gonna say, let's have Damon talk about that.
Okay, so
And
what if?
and I'm not trying to bring, that's just some of the common sense things that.
And I apologize to everyone that's here that we had to move it up for multiple reasons. I know you're here to celebrate your children, to celebrate, some of you to celebrate yourselves. We are trying to do this quickly as possible. Why don't we say all AAA activities?
The band and choir actually have a recommendation
Protocol.
for you later, when Mr. Daniel Donnell comes up to talk about that meets the AAA guidance.
Does all that need to be rolled into this discussion, or?
You certainly may. It's
I mean-
it's a board's call, but their recommendation, whether you put it on, take it off, would be the same. Or if there's a middle road. They have bell toppers. There are steps that they're going to do that, to try to keep all band and choir as safely as possible while together.
Or do I have is there any more discussion, and if not, do I have any moves towards a motion?
It's gonna be a
random,
Well, I could try.
Okay, go.
Yeah,
Wait, do you have?
yeah, before we make a motion, what are we voting on?
Well, that's what I was gonna try to succinctly say it.
Modifying.
So, like I make a motion that we modify our face covering mandate to exclude outside activities, to remove all distance requirements inside. Buses are included with inside, and AAA activities, will go by their guidelines that have been developed by the leaders of those activities,
Gonna end
With
it.
an end date.
with an end date of May 28th.
Anything else that needs to be rolled in there?
What do you,
Sound good?
board? Does that mean?
I'll second it, but I do want a voluntary mask about that.
But you're seconding what
Can it
has,
be put in the minutes that Mr. Owenby did? What? So is that,
And I'll say yes, but I just want to make sure that was.
there is a motion by Mrs. Creek to modify the face mask policy to allow for removal at recess and outside, is that outside activities? And to follow AAA's recommendations with their activities, and to include that masks for the bus are same as masks inside schools. Did I get that kind of?
An end date.
And with an end date of the mandate being May 28th. Did I even remotely get that?
and a second.
There is a motion to modify the face mask policy to allow for the removal of face masks when outside of buildings. Face masks will be continued to be worn inside buildings and on buses with no social distancing. Wait, I missed one. And all AAA activities will fall under their guidelines. And this mask mandate will end on May 28th, 2021.
I think we hit it all.
Kind of, sort
I
of.
think that's it.
And then second.
Motion by Mrs. Creek, a second by
Mr. Owenby.
Mr. Owenby. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we will move on to the consent agenda. Board, you've had an opportunity to look at the consent agenda. Is there anything that you would like pulled from the consent agenda, or may we vote on it?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
There is a motion by Mr. Bell, a second by Mrs. Creek to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dr. Cleveland?
All right. Thank you, board. I know that
Good luck.
you worked all year trying to get to this point, and once again, I'm very thankful to work for you and proud of the effort that you made tonight to help us get to the end of the year and start next year. We have a fantastic announcement. It's a national announcement. I'd like to invite a very prestigious principal in our district to come forward, Dr. Michael Shepard, to introduce a very special person that's internationally known now. Not only nationally known, but internationally.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And by the way, good work, board. Listening to your deliberations makes me proud to work here in Springdale, and I appreciate your work and your consideration and all that you've done to get to this point. So, as a principal here, I appreciate you. It is my honor to be able to introduce the 2021 National Assistant Principal of the Year, Chelsea Jennings, Assistant Principal at Lakeside. only thing I want to say, and I want to give her most of the time, is this is such an awesome opportunity for not just for Chelsea, but for all of us. 10 years ago, we stood here and did this before, and I had the opportunity to have the same honor. What Chelsea doesn't even realize yet is that she's going to be able to have a voice at the table with some very, very important people. She's going to be able to sit in the halls of Congress of the United States. She's going to be able to sit in congressional rooms talking to senators and representatives. She's going to have the opportunity to talk to people at the U.S. Department of Education. And what's amazing is that with that title after her name, those people will be listening to her. She's going to have an opportunity to shape policy not only on a state level, but on a national level. And I can't think of anyone that is better suited to be able to represent us and have Springdale's voice at the table in shaping state and national policy than Chelsea.
No pressure, no pressure.
First of all, I do want to reiterate what Dr. Shepard said, thanking you guys for making these tough decisions and putting kids' needs first and their safety. And so the last time that I was here was in December for the state award, and I was very nervous, and I had written out my speech, and I read my speech, and you guys were all dressed in your Christmas sweaters and full-blown suits, and were so warm and supportive, and I feel way less nervous this time, and I didn't even prepare a speech or anything. And so that culture that you've created among the school board not only makes a positive impact on our school, but also makes it easier for me to come up here. I don't know that the work that I do every day is any more special than any other educator or leader in this district. We all care about kids and work hard at our jobs, and that's what I do, and I just happen to get recognized for it. A couple things to know just about the application process and the things that I'm passionate about. First of all, in the application process, while Dr. Shepard and I both submit some responses to questions about what we do, they also have a community member, a student, a teacher, all answer questions about, from their perspective of the work that I do in the building. And so I'm very happy that this represents the voice of our school community. I don't even know what they wrote, but it must have been pretty good. But two things that two initiatives that I have been passionate about since being at Lakeside really revolve around looking at systems that have been around for decades and decades in our education system that haven't quite adapted with the societal and educational needs that we have now. One of those is the A through F grading system. And so over the last 4 years, we have moved Lakeside to a full implementation of standards-based grading. And it's something that I'm very passionate about because standards-based grading shifts to focusing on the learner and the learning. It's skills-based. We meet kids where they are and we move them towards growth, towards proficiency and advanced applications. And so it moves from an adult-centered model to a student-centered model. And we've seen a lot of amazing conversations happen among our PLCs because of that change. The other one is looking at discipline, the traditional punitive structure of discipline, and really moving to a more proactive student-centered approach where we look at mental health needs, we look at social and emotional needs, and look at behaviors as a form of communication and what is the need what's the skill that's missing behind those behaviors. And so I've really started this within our ALE program that's at Lakeside, working with more restorative practices when it comes to discipline and really focusing on our kids' social and emotional needs. That's obviously very important right now more than ever. And so this year, and I think as we come back to the new school year, really emphasizing our kids' mental health and their social emotional well-being, and our teachers as well. But I really look forward to representing Springdale and our state, and I hope I make everybody proud.
Very much so. Well, when do they get to meet? I mean, when do you, I know in the past, you've all gone to DC. Will you get to do that even with COVID? And then when will that happen, or will it be virtual, or? They've sent kind of a handbook of all of the different activities that you would do in a traditional year as the National Assistant Principal. It includes all of the things that Dr. Shepard mentioned. All of that's to be determined. They've canceled some of the things going up through July that would normally be on the agenda, but I'm hoping that next year looks open to. We'll get to have you back after you've gotten to do that. Yes.
I can't wait to hear about some of the conversations that y'all have.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
Did you get a financial incentive with this as well? You don't know?
Not that I'm aware of, so.
Well, you should have.
I did get a really big trophy plaque.
Well, I just want to say congratulations. I mean, it's a great deal. And for those that don't know, I think Arkansas has had 2 national assistant school principals ever, and both of them are in this room right here, and they both are at Lakeside. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that is really neat. So I remember when Dr. Shepard got it, and that was really cool. So congratulations. Hopefully we can get a 3rd and a 4th, moving forward. So you need to get Kelly Coombs sharpened up. There you go. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Cook. We have East Conference celebrations. As you know, East Conference for us in Springdale, since we're a Springdale district, it's a very big deal to us. Typically, we have a major celebration in Hot Springs where hundreds of kids and staff go. But this year, we weren't able to do that. We did most of it by Zoom. We have Ms. Fink that's going to come up and talk a little bit about our East Conference and the awards that our students were able to bring back.
Yes, so I'm here to continue our celebration. So Springdale Schools had a very large representation this year at our East Conference. It was held March 15th through the 17th. I've placed some information at your seat so that you can kind of get an outline of the awards that our students won. We had 245 3rd through 12th grade students compete in this year's events. 28 of our conference teams competed against students from Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisiana, and Tennessee. And as always, our school district rose to the occasion and won many of the awards. So I would like to highlight some of these awards and these students' amazing accomplishments. So first off, we have Sonora Middle School. They won the Founders Award, and the cool thing about Sonora Middle School is that they have won this award twice in 3 years. So they took this award back in 2019, and they took it again in 2021. And the Founders Award is a highly prestigious award presented to a program with significant contributions from students in all the principal areas of East: community engagement, collaboration, project sophistication, innovation, and student growth and engagement. So I want to show you just a small video clip of the video that was submitted from Sonora Middle School for the Founders Award. Okay, we'll keep going. I will send you an email, actually the full video clip. It's actually 9 minutes. I wasn't going to show the entire thing, but I do encourage you to watch the video. I think you'll be super impressed by what our students were able to accomplish. Parson Hills Elementary School won the COVID-19 response competition. This obviously was a new competition for East this year. And our elementary school actually beat out secondary schools. So our elementary students went against high school students and won this competition. The students at Parson Hills Elementary School coded microbits and created hand washing timers that they placed in all of their restrooms. So as children were going to the restroom, the sensor would go off and the timer would start timing the students and would alert them with lights and sound to let them know that they had washed their hands for the right amount of time. So it was really fun. We were able to go over the other day and see this, and they were pretty neat, actually. In their first year of the East program, the students at John Tyson Elementary School won 2 categories, the Spirit Chant Competition and the East Project Competition. The students at Tyson Elementary understood what a difficult year this was for everyone, not only for the students but the teachers. So they started a spread positivity campaign, and if you can see their hashtag, how they popped out the EAST, I thought that was kind of creative. But spread positivity campaign, and I don't think you can walk through Tyson Elementary School without seeing or feeling some kind of kindness being emitted upon you. So the students won that competition. Don Tyson School of Innovation had a student, Isaac Brown, that took the perfect pitch competition, and this was an award for his Aeronautics for All project. During the perfect pitch competition, participants are given the opportunity to submit a 90-second perfect pitch on an East project. So he won that competition. And in addition, we had 3 schools that won Judges' Choice winners. And that was Don Tyson School of Innovation, Walker Elementary, and Smith Elementary. The students in these programs were interviewed about their projects, and they were chosen based on how the students responded to the judges' questions about their project. So we definitely had a successful year at East Conference this year. I know all the students were super engaged in and had a lot of fun participating, and I just wanted to congratulate all of our East Conference students. They represented our district well. So let's give them a hand. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Cook is someone we all know and love around Springdale, Mr. Jackson Allen.
Jackson's like me.
We're just going to introduce you. Everyone should probably write his name down because I think he'll be a president of the United States at some point.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. So just give you a little introduction about the Senate Youth Program. Was founded in 1964 by the U.S. Senate and the Hearst Foundation. So every single year, 104 students from all across the country, 2 from each state, 2 from D.C., and then 2 from the Department of Defense, get to come together, usually in person in Washington, D.C., meet with the President, Supreme Court justices, members of Congress, Department of Defense, State Department, and then visit a few sites around the city. Unfortunately, it was virtual this year, but it's still a really cool experience. And so I got to virtually Zoom with the President, got to meet with Senator Tammy Baldwin one-on-one for a little bit and talk to her about her views. The same thing with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And so it was just a really cool experience. I'm really nerdy for all this sort of policy stuff. And so for me, it was, once in a lifetime. I kept a notebook and just looked through the other day and was going back, and there's just so many cool experiences I got to have that I already forgot about because there's just so much. It's like an overload. Got to talk to Nora O'Donnell from CBS News, and that was definitely amazing. I think that one of the most valuable parts of this is it brings these people in power and these people that you hear about all the time down to a really human level. I was sitting in the home office and my dog starts barking, and I'm talking to Senator Tammy Baldwin. And then she tells me about her dog. And then she brings her dog up and shows it to me. And so it definitely is just this memory that really brought politics down to earth and made it something, that I won't forget and that hopefully I'll carry with me as I try to enter the public sphere. So yeah, do you guys have any questions?
I wish I could have been in person.
I know. That would have been so cool.
Did you have any surprise moment from any of the individuals that you got to talk to, whether it be the president or Clarence Thomas, or that you were like, oh wow, I didn't know that?
Mm-hmm. I would say it was with Clarence Thomas. The president got on. It was very formal. The Department of Defense had rigged up the Zoom so that it was a not normal Zoom. There were people from the military on there watching us, and so they got on and they were like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the president," and then it pans into the White House, very professional. But with Clarence Thomas, he was just sitting in his office with the Zoom. He had the camera pointing at his chest. He didn't even have it pointing at his face, but none of us wanted to tell him. And it just surprised me because all of that pomp was taken away. And I mean, he's not the nicest guy ever. And I don't say that to, drag him. I just say that you get to know somebody in a human way. And I think that really surprised me. That this person that you expect to they inhabit these huge buildings and, we never hear from them. They're very normal and they can be irritable about their lunch break too, because they're having to talk to kids instead of going to get to eat. And so, yeah, I think that was the biggest surprise.
Board, do you have any more questions? Jax, we're excited that you represented Springdale and the state of Arkansas, and we know that you did it well, and just hope that you just continue. And I think you need to stay up here because I think you're part of the next group.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you all.
Do you want to introduce your parents?
Sure, yeah. My parents are here in the back.
The parents have Jack's name. I was going to say, Amy and Kevin.
Got their name. Mr. Tronopoulos. For tonight, we'd like to recognize our National Merit finalists.
High school board, how are you doing?
Good.
Dr. Cleveland, I'm Ms. Smalling. So let's kind of bring you up to speed on how these young people got here. They, when they were juniors in their junior year in October of that month, they took the PSAT test. And these students scored in the top 1% of all students throughout the state of Arkansas their junior year. As a matter of fact, if you want to get even more of a splitting hair, it'd probably been the top 0.5% of that top 1%. And so then you hear later on, about the time they're coming back to school in August, that's when the principals will get that list of the PSAT National Merit semifinalist list. And these students were on that list. So then they're going to have to go through a series of interviews / application processes. This year they didn't have to take a test. Normally they have to take the test again, or they can submit the ACT as well, so that they can kind of show the PSAT or the National Merit Corporation that their score wasn't a fluke. But this year, because of COVID and the inability to grab as many graders as they could, that was waived. So through the process of interviews, like I said, applications, timelines, and working with their counselor, they were able to become and be announced as a finalist about February, I believe it was. And so these 6 students did something that's pretty unique, and that is to say they are considered National Merit finalists, and of course that's going to bring with it the prestige that it brings through the National Merit Corporation, and of course scholarships that come from all of those universities that are seeking them out, because every university obviously wants to be able to say, this is another national merit, this is another, how many national merits do you have on your campus, this is how many we've got, etc. So it's just a huge bragging moment. And while I'm on that point, I want to say the future looks bright. We've got right now, from Don Tyson School of Innovation to SHS, all the way to HAR-BER, if you were to take a look at the students that I would consider that are what I would call, quote unquote, playing in the game, so to speak, as sophomores that have scored, because every sophomore takes the PSAT, so we can find out who they are. We've got about 40 right now that through some coaching and through some diligent boot camps and things of that nature, I think you might see this number rise up even more next year. So with that said, I want to introduce these folks, and I want to get Dr. Jared Cleveland up here to help me, and I'm going to hand him the plaque, and we're going to get these guys a plaque and just recognize them and hear what they're doing in the future.
Great.
So let's go. Okay, Bill. It's Kaylee Goff. There you are.
Hutchinson for John Kent. Pedro Renan. Jackson Allen. Colin Thompson.
So let's just go real quick. Okay, what are you gonna be doing in the fall?
So I'm gonna go to Baylor, studying on majoring in neuroscience, and hopefully medicine.
Awesome. So now, what got you into medicine? What was something that, what turned you in that direction?
I've always been interested in like how things work in the heart and mind. So I really liked learning about the brain. I took a psychology class in ninth grade. It's just amazing, fascinating to really know how it works all the way. So
Cool.
I think that's kind of what sparked it. And then I just came to Michigan and really enjoyed it.
Have you got a chance to visit Baylor and actually go there?
I have a school on college. I got to see over everything's up down.
Are you fired up? That's cool.
Go Bears.
Congratulations.
Patrick, where are you going? What are you gonna do?
I'll be going to Bowdoin College in New Brunswick, Maine. I'll be majoring in, who knows what, public changes about once a month, so we'll see what's going to.
All right, Pedro, where are you going?
If I can get the money, I still haven't decided, but I'm just looking for the funds to pay for either HAR-BER, Yale, Duke, or WashU, some other schools. I'm still off.
No biggie.
So, have you got an idea, when you do land, where you land, do you have an idea what you might want to do?
Yeah, computer science. I want to major in computer science.
And what gets you going in computer science?
I started coding when I was in 6th grade, and it was just a really fun puzzle and pattern challenge to do, and it seems like the future.
Cool. All right, Jax, where are you going?
You know, I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to decide between options. I'll either be on scholarship at Duke at the Stanford School of Public Policy, or I'll be at Harvard at the NB School.
And you're going to probably do political science?
Yes, sir.
What else? Anything else?
I mean, well, so public policy and then a minor in political science.
Okay.
And then, you know, maybe a minor in a language.
Okay. And what got you going in that direction? Was it just this year, or has it been something in your blood for a while?
You know, I think in my blood for a while. I've always loved politics. It's always just kind of been my thing. I was in debate for a while. You know, I've been working with the student forum here in Springdale, so it's something that I've just had a lot of exposure to and that I really care about.
Colin, where are you going to go this fall?
I'm deciding between the University of Arkansas and Rice. So,
And what might you do when you go to either one of those?
I'm planning on studying biology and global studies and potentially going to med school.
What are you going to do with biology and global studies? That's cool.
Well, I'm really interested in global health and like fixing the problem of health inequity in different countries.
So how'd you get involved? I mean, how did your mind go that way?
Well, I think it was a mission trip to Guatemala that kind of sparked it all. I kind of saw the different issues with their health care there and how they didn't have access to things like clean water and reliable health care. So
that's cool.
Just want to be a part of changing that.
School board, are we in good hands or are we in good hands?
Pretty good.
I think
Pretty
we're
good.
doing okay. So, Kay, let's go back to you. Where's your mom and dad? Who's here with you tonight?
My parents are in the my mom's actually a third grade teacher at my home.
Patrick, who's with you tonight?
My mom, my dad.
Jack, who's with you tonight? I mean, Jack, who's with you tonight?
I have my mom, Amy, my dad, Kevin.
That's right. Pedro, who's with you?
Well, my mom just left, but my dad's still here.
There you go, Andre.
He's been here before.
Oh, I know. Colin, who's with you tonight?
I have my grandma. She's raised me since I was little.
How are you? School board, you guys got any questions for these kids?
Congratulations.
That was for the parents.
Yes, that was for, and good luck on all of, we hope to see you all back here, you know, when you come back to visit and just hear about your college experience. And we're just very proud of you and very proud of the work that you put in and just all that you've done for Springdale. So thank you
Forget
and
about us
good
when you're
luck.
famous.
Can you get a picture of them out on the steps without their mask and with the paper?
We can do a lot of things.
That would be awesome.
Maybe they should take those in the
you.
class.
Thank you, well done.
We don't have a photographer here, do we? And that's why I wanted to give it up. Good job.
Good job,
Good
parents.
job. Yeah, all parents and grandparents need to pat themselves on the.
It's the most fun to get to celebrate.
It is.
Students.
It's a lot more fun than talking about masks.
Yes.
Yes, that was great. They're a lot of fun too. We have some additional great news, and I know it's a great news night, so that's what we're going to do. We have 3 of our middle schools that have been redesignated as Diamond Schools to Watch. Hellstrom Middle School, Helen Tyson Middle School, Snore Middle School. I know in your packet have some information there. If you have any questions, I know Ms. Fink is here. She'd be happy to talk about that if you like. But our schools are great. I know Joe Kelly's planning to redesignate at some point. This is a big deal, and it's certainly a big deal for our community in our state. So we're proud of our middle schools.
Exciting.
Next board, I'd like to introduce you to a really amazing person. We were able to hire this U.S. Department of Justice grants that we've received over the last year. I want to introduce you to Mr. Rusty Johnson. Mr. Johnson, if you don't mind, head to the podium. He's our district safety liaison, and he has a distinguished career as a game and fish officer. And I'd like to just introduce him because he's going to be with us, hopefully, for the remainder of the grant, which is a few years, but potentially on further. I know that's his hope, and we would like to be able to fund that money as well.
Good evening, Board. How are y'all doing this evening?
Good.
I tell you, it's kind of hard to follow all those kids. My name is Rusty Johnson. This is my wife, Jody, and my daughter, Julie. I got to give them credit. Without them, I would not be here. My wife is an AP at Baylor. So I have a insight to Springdale schools. Tell you a little bit about myself. I come from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. I have 21 plus years of experience in law enforcement. Spent roughly 11 years as a sergeant with the Game and Fish. The last 5 years as the disaster response team supervisor for the state of Arkansas, and as an ESF for the state of Arkansas, which is Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. There are 16 functions. I was set as number 9, which is a coordinator for search and rescue operations for the state of Arkansas. So I bring a unique background, and I am excited and honored to be here.
We're excited for you and glad you're here.
Thank you.
So where were you in the field with the game and fish? So make sure.
19 of those 20 years. Madison County.
Madison County. Well, it wasn't Pope and Johnson County.
Y'all have any questions?
I guess I'll just ask, what do you see as like your role as, like, what are your ideas, your dreams for our district?
Ultimately, my dream is that we adopt best practices, and that with God's help and best practices, we don't have anything go wrong. That is, my whole world is in this school. We have 31 different schools, 23,000 students, 3,000 staff. We're all reading from the same book. My job as liaison is going to keep us all on that same page. That way we can operate under those best practices.
Exciting.
Very fortunate to have.
Safety is one of our pillars, is it not?
It is.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks for being here.
Mr.
Donnell, are you available? I'd like to recognize tonight the band and choir assessment results. As you know, the arts are alive in Springdale, Arkansas. Donnell leads the choir as far as the overall program. Donnell.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland and the board. I think that they're out there.
I'm out there in the
I
hall.
think they are out there waiting. Come on in, guys and gals. I'd like to introduce the district high school band and choir directors and recognize them for their outstanding leadership and perseverance in a year that has had many, many, many challenges. Mr. Jeremy Ford and Mr. Clint Pianalto at HAR-BER High School. Mr. Julius Stevens and Miss Millie Peters at Springdale High School, and Mr. Jeff Key and Miss Cindy Key at Don Tyson School of Innovation. I want you to know these band directors, these band and choir directors are some of the finest leaders that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. They do everything. They work hard every day. They followed the directives this year. They did everything exactly the way they were supposed to do it, and always keeping the interest of students at the very forefront with honesty and integrity. I mean, I couldn't work with a better group of people anywhere. Absolutely. I'd like to draw your attention to the slideshow, and how do I proceed to the next one? Just this clicker here? Okay, there we go. In a year where we had so many mandates, and I'll just go through a few of them, you know, air exchange, mask with horns with the slit in them, mask for choir, spit valve procedures. I know I'm forgetting some. Go ahead, do some more. Straight lines for choir, no risers, all of these directives that were from the Arkansas Department of Health, and they persevered through all that and still had 84 students make all region and 18 all-state musicians at the high school, at the high school band level. I want to read that last little part. 282 all-state musicians since 2006, and every student who has auditioned for a band or scholarship has received one for the past 5 years, which is really great. I think this is close to a record at the junior high levels also. Is 33 all-region musicians at Southwest and 55 all-region musicians at Central, which is pretty amazing. Also 89, this is for the choir now with Mr. Pianalto, 89 all-region musicians, which is a school record. Never has happened before. This is COVID, remember. And then 43 all-state musicians, which is a record, and it's also top in the state for all-staters for the choir for HAR-BER, which is fantastic also. I'll go on by saying HAR-BER finished 9th out of 18th in an international choir festival. And then at the choir performance, the HAR-BER High School had 5 choirs qualify for state choral assessment. 2 HAR-BER High School choirs tied for the highest score in the event. And Southwest Junior High and Central Junior High both received Division I ratings in the choral performance assessment recently. And then Springdale High School. The Springdale High School band had 70 students for all region, 35 all-state qualifiers, and then you can see there also the 16 all-state band members. Out of those 35, 16 made the all-state band. And then all-region jazz band, 12 students made that, 8 qualified for all-state, and 2 made all-state, and then 3 made the all-region orchestra. Also, you can see on those feeder patterns also what they're doing there with all-region jazz band at George, and all-region orchestra, and all-region band at George, and then also all-region band at Lakeside Junior High. Very proud of that accomplishment. As well as the choir there with 38 all-region musicians, 21 all-staters, and then you can see all the ratings for the choral assessment there as well. And then at the Don Tyson School of Innovation, we have 5 all-state band members at that band program there. 1 Arkansas all-state jazz band member, 13 high school all-region band members, 26 junior high all-region band members, and then 6 jazz band members, and then 3 jazz band all-state qualifiers. Just a phenomenal job at DTSY. If you've not been out to see the new Performing Arts Center there, it's also really fantastic. All right, and then last was the Don Tyson School of Innovation Choir. 12 students auditioned and qualified for senior high region choirs. 4 students qualified as alternates. 53 students auditioned in April for junior high region, and 6 of those students made the DTSY, from DTSY audition, and 5 qualified for all-state choirs in the choir there at DTSY. The last slide I'd like to bring your attention to is something that I shared with all the choir. These 6 folks right here, I shared this and I said, what would you like to see? Because the state had reclassified the directives as guidelines, and then we can have some movement now with what we are doing. But we've done those as of today. Those directives are still in place as of today. from the Arkansas Department of Health. So I asked them to kind of give me a temperature check and what they would like to do. So here are the things that they would really like some guidance from you, board, and approval. They would really like to discontinue daily director temperature checks. Okay, they're the only ones in the district that I know of that have to check their temperature every day to see if they have a fever or not. Discontinue daily COVID-19 student health surveys. In case you don't know this, every day our students in band and choir have been taking a survey. Have you been out of the country? I'm kind of being facetious when I say that, but basically, do you have a fever and are you sick? Reduce indoor social distancing from 6 to 3 feet. That's already been a recommendation from the CDC. Discontinue the slit in the mask requirement for instrumental students. So basically, the only time an instrumental student would have a mask on is when they're not playing. They just simply pull up their mask when they're not playing indoors, and when they are playing, they pull their mask down and play their instrument. That's what they're asking for permission for. And continue. We would like to continue indoor bell coverings for instruments. That's not really been a hindrance for us. And continue indoor face coverings for choral students when inside only. And then also continue best practices for instruments, instrument water swabbing. That's where condensation builds up in the horn. We'd like to continue best practices on that. And allow multi-tiered curved formations for choral rehearsals and performances. We would just want to be back on our risers, okay? Instead of just standing in straight lines 6 feet apart. And then discontinue indoor and outdoor air exchange requirements. I'm not sure, if you're not aware of this, this is the only group of teachers in the state that I'm aware of that has had half of their class instruction cut. So they've had 30 minutes and then they've had to go someplace else to allow that room to rest. And they're asking for that to just continue that air exchange requirement. And then reasonable social distancing, which we go back to for the for large indoor performances, whether it's on the stage or the PAC or whatever it may be. So really, that's all contingent upon your approval and allowing them to move forward that way, but they would really like to do that.
And this came through some guidance from the AAA, right?
Correct, yes. So all of those that we've said are, actually some of those we're still leaving in place, like the mask for choral students indoors is now a guideline, it's not a directive anymore. But we're asking just to continue kind of the same policy that you approved tonight, was that piece right there.
To answer your question, sir, the AAA said they will allow this as a local decision.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Y'all are all comfortable with?
More than comfortable.
I just want to say, watching each of your programs and watching all that y'all jumped through hoops to make sure that your students got to do what they love. And whether it be at a ball game or just knowing students in your program, I just want to congratulate each of you for all you've done. And thank you for just going above and beyond to make sure that our students, got to do what they love. Y'all must all be magicians because you figured out things in a time when we often didn't think we could. And no matter what, y'all made it work so they could do exactly what they love. And I'm just...
Pretty amazing.
It's very amazing.
I've said a dozen times since this all started that if there's a group that's gotten hosed, you guys are the ones that have gotten hosed. And it's just not right. But it is what it is, and you guys, took what you had to do and you did it, and the results are phenomenal. It's just amazing that you had so many great participants in your programs. But whatever we can do to loosen it up and make your guys' life better and your kids' life better, I'm all for it.
So just a quick comment, and we're going to talk about COVID. So I graduated high school 37 years ago, so it puts a little date on me. But I knew about Springdale Arts choir and band 37 years ago. So it takes one thing to build a program. It takes a whole lot more to sustain a program and achieve the kind of results you guys year in, year out, semester, every year. So, and then I'll mention COVID, throw in this year. Man, whatever you guys need.
I do want to say that I really do believe that this team, the great Pat Ellison told me at lunch one day if there's one thing you keep at the forefront of your mind with choir and band, it's we, not me. And I want to tell you that all of these guys have really leaned on each other this year and really worked as a solid team, as one Springdale fine arts program instead of East Side, West Side, or HAR-BER, all of that. Just really they've come together as a team, and I think it's really a great thing. And I'm really proud of that.
It's incredible.
Do we need to take action on this? Or?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed band and choir changes for the remainder of 2021 school year.
There's a motion by Mr. Emerson, a second by Mr. Hutchinson to approve proposed band and choir changes for the remainder of the 2021 school year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good job.
Can I just, for a quick moment, I just want to publicly say in front of everyone how much we appreciate the work that Damon has done for us this year. He has helped, kind of unite us and get us on the same page. And it's so nice to have a voice that we can go to downtown and to help and bring all of this together and present it to you guys. And we really, really thank you for all of it.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. Donnell, you want to talk about the Samaritan's Feet a bit?
Yes, it was a few months ago that Kyle Alexander and Lara Donaldson reached out to me about holding an event for Samaritan's Feet to donate 620, or actually it's 700 pairs of shoes at the time, and they were asking about, what should we do? How should we do it? Well, we met every Monday for months and just kind of just laid out the process. And that process turned into, we utilized our counselors and social workers to pre-register 625 families to pick up a new pair of shoes. It's really a tote of all kinds of things, socks, and it's really pretty neat. And then also during all that planning, they said, hey, it'd be really great to give away chicken too, and just have like a big chicken shoe. Yeah, shoes go with chicken so good, right? Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the funniest thing about that was, I got to tell a story on Dr. Cleveland. So that Saturday, it was April 3rd, that Saturday, it was the best joke I've ever heard, actually. That Saturday, I was signing in cars, and Dr. Cleveland, it was pretty cold outside too, and I had just worn sandals and shorts and a t-shirt because I just wanted to be relaxed, okay, and just help kids and move forward. So I was signing in cars, and Dr. Cleveland walks up on the sidewalk and he says, Mr. Donnell, can I help you? Maybe like a pair of pants and some shoes? And I still laugh every time I hear you say that. But it was a really beautiful event. I walked down and they were given, Tyson's donated enough chicken for a case of chicken for every family. And we had gotten probably 20 or 30 cars in there. And they were given bags out of the cases. And I was like, we got to give cases because, we had 300 of those cases. And if we had to get rid of that stuff. So we wound up having about a pallet left, maybe a pallet and a half. We called the fire department, police department. We wound up giving that away to them. It was a really beautiful event. And some kids, I think we had about 50% pick up their shoes that day. But then since then, we've also had counselors and social workers go to the warehouse and pick up shoes that weren't picked up and then deliver those out. Something that's just kind of along these same lines is Samaritan Feet has a community partner that when we get our treehouse pantry up and running, they're going to put a Foot Locker in the treehouse pantry. So anytime a kid needs a pair of shoes, a social worker, counselor, teacher, whoever can go to there, pick that size of shoes, boys or girls, take it back to the school, and then Samaritan Feet will replace that always. It'll just stay stocked with sizes 0 through 12, all the time, which is a really neat thing. So it was a great event.
Where's that going to be at?
Right behind Central Support, just kind of to the north of Northwest Medical.
It's the big pantry.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The hospital property.
Correct. Yes. Any other questions about that event? It was a really beautiful event to see kids come through there and get so excited about getting a brand new pair of shoes. It was pretty cool. Yep. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you've seen the artifact that was in your board report. That's pictures about things. We also have the Finish Strong campaign. How many of you have seen the Finish Strong campaign on their social media site? Trent wrote kind of a blurb for me to be able to read to you, talk to you about it, but I asked Trent to come up and talk about it because I know it was his team, his education team. We're proud of them and what they've done. Can you breathe, Trent?
This advance? Oh, good. Look at here. So we put a couple of assets on here for you. Good evening, board, and Dr. Cleveland. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with everyone. As this evening has gone on, I think a lot of us have made note of the fact that this has been a historic school year and still continues to be. And so what we wanted to do was just take the opportunity to capture student voice, capture the community voice, and you guys said it too tonight, that students are the center of everything we do. And so we wanted to just take the time to look at the kids and say, hey, with everything that's going on, we're still here. We're still here putting together all of our effort for you to show you how much we care about you. As Dr. Cleveland says, school is the heartbeat of the community. So we're just some assets here for you to look at. Let me read the little blurb that I put here. The Springdale Schools Communications Office has created the Finish Strong SPS campaign to encourage our students to have 100% attendance. Come to school, log in, be present, know that you're cared for, know that we're all here rooting for you to finish on a high note. Through the month of April and May, we'll be sharing messages like this one that you're seeing on the screen in front of you. We also have several community partners that are sharing the message through social media and on marquees. And what's really cool, we have some companies who have written memos to parents in their businesses and encouraged them to work hard. There's our school board president right there. Got to feature her. She does great work getting in there. So friends like La Seta, Legacy Bank, Arvest, Tyson, George's, the city of Springdale, the chamber's been great. Shout out to Mayor and Bill Rogers. They've been wonderful. Harps Foods is posting stuff, and there's many more. And so just a brief overview just to let you guys know that in the communications office, we have great people like Leslie Orozco who's taken these photos and made these designs. And we just wanted everybody to know that we're still there supporting them, and we want them to finish this year on a high note.
Awesome. No one's quitting.
That's right.
Mr. Jones, you like your job?
I love it. No doubt about it. You don't have to tell me to come to school, log in, be present. I'm here every day. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland.
Thank you. Good job, Trent.
Of course, Cook, I love the question. He does love his
Man, he's
job.
fired up all the time.
All
You
the
gotta love
time.
that.
Yeah,
It's contagious.
around here.
I had so much more to say earlier. I wish you'd have talked first, and then I fired up.
I affect him to say that.
Y'all did that right, didn't you?
Anyway, my last portion tonight, Ms. Cook, is a resolution for hiring. As you know, this is a traditional opportunity for us to make sure that we're able to continue to hiring our certified and classified employees as we go. Typically, we hire around about 150 teachers, well over 200 classified staffs. If you would entertain the resolution to, or adopt this resolution.
I do have a question. At this time, do you have an estimate on the number of staff that are scheduled to retire or not come back?
22 certified retirees so far.
So far. So 22. Last year, I think we had 44, but I don't think we had 44 until about July.
Yeah.
It does feel like we have a lot of people that are.
Please.
So how are you positioned right now at the elementary school in Huntington?
As far as the numbers?
Yes. No, just
Hiring.
staffing.
We roughly have 2 staff members per grade.
Okay.
It's staffed really small until we see how many students we have that attend. And right now, we have a principal. We do have our, what we call singletons, library media, instructional facilitators, things like that, and then people who have left in other portions of the district, other schools in the district, we filtered lead staff in. That's a good question, thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and make the motion. Let's see here. Superintendent request permission, so I'll make a motion that the superintendent be able to hire the additional certified and classified personnel as needed for the 21-22 school year.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Hutchinson, a second by Mrs. Creek to let the superintendent have permission to hire additional certified and classified personnel as needed for the 2021-2022 school year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you so
Motion
much.
passes.
We will continue with providing you updates on who's hired as we continue forward with the station. Thank you so much. Our curriculum team is next. Ms. Cook. While they're coming, would you like for us to share with you the retiree list with the school board? We'd be happy to.
That would be great. Are we scheduled to honor them next month, or okay, just before next month would be great?
Sure, we have, we'll do it tonight.
Well, hello again. I'm here tonight, as well as Ms. Tischer, to talk to you about the curriculum and instruction team's efforts to close the learning gaps that have been created due to COVID. When school shut down March 13th of 2020, our students lost 12 weeks of instruction when you include the summer, 3 months of summer that backed up against the closure. And in addition to that, we've had students that have had to quarantine all year, who have chosen blended learning that continue to fall behind. And so I think all three of us would say that this is something that keeps us awake at night, thinking about our students and the learning that they've lost. So we're here tonight to talk to you about one of our initiatives, which is summer school. We are going to have summer school happening across our district, and I am personally overseeing 3 summer school programs. The first summer program that elementary will be offering is the CLIP Grant Summer School. The CLIP grant stands for Children Living in Poverty. This is funded through United Way. This actually started when Dr. Morledge was in my position, and then it carried over to Ms. Childress, and now I'm in charge of the CLIP grant. We will be running our CLIP grant from June 7th to July 1st from 9 to 11:30. In addition to that, we will have student weekly check-ins through the month of July. So we will continue to pay teachers a couple hours a week to check in with the students that will be attending the CLIP Grant Summer Reading Program. This summer school will be offered on 2 campuses, Westwood and Jones, one on each side of town, so that we can better accommodate our students. We will be targeting 300 upcoming first and second grade at-risk readers, so current kindergarten and first grade students. One of the really neat things about this grant is we're able to provide job-embedded professional development by Dr. Leanne Howard. She is a very sought-out educator that does training in science of reading. And so she is going to come and offer face-to-face training with the teachers who participate in the CLIP Grant Summer Program. And in addition to that, she will provide job-embedded professional development. So we're going to hire her to come in and actually go into the classrooms for summer school and model what she has taught teachers so teachers can see it in action. We will provide breakfast, lunch, and transportation. And how our summer schools in elementary and middle school will be different. Traditionally, summer schools have been grouped based on grade levels. And this year, we're really getting specific and targeted in what students need, and we will be basing our grouping based on what students need with reading foundational skills. So it'll be a very fluid process where students are moving in and out of reading groups so that they can get what they need to help close that achievement gap. And the really neat thing about both of my elementary summer school programs, we put a huge emphasis on our parent engagement piece. We are paying teachers to create short training videos for our families, and we will be able to put a QR code on a baggie of reading materials that we can send home, and the parents can scan the QR code and get a training video in Spanish Marshallese and in English, just based on what they need. And Trent, his team, they've been instrumental in helping us get that done. The next summer program I'm overseeing is Read Camp. It's Read, Enjoy, and Discover Full Stream Ahead. I know that sounds weird, but we added reading to science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. This will be a K-5 focus. We will run this program July 5th through August 6th on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 to 2. And I know you think, why 10 to 2? Well, when I met with principals, one of the obstacles that we've had with summer school is sometimes kids don't want to get up early. And so we decided to run this program from 10 to 2, hoping that we could incentivize kids to get up and get on a bus and get to their schools. We're, again, personalizing instruction with a focus on literacy with math, science, technology, arts integration. 4 of our school sites will partner with the University of Arkansas to provide ESL services to our students. So we will be partnering with Dr. Janet Pinner-Williams and her team to provide specific language instruction to students who need it. Again, that parent involvement component is strong in this summer reading program. We will provide lunch and transportation, and we've also budgeted in for student incentives so that we can incentivize our students. Yes, Randy?
Is it open for anybody and everybody? I didn't see number or limitation.
We will have small groups, so we will have 12 teachers at each site and 10 students per teachers around what we're wanting. So the principals will work with their leadership teams to identify the students that will be attending this summer program. So these are the campuses that our elementary summer school program will run. What we've done, because we have such a large district, and Jeremy and his team need to get into buildings and make sure they're ready for next year. So ideally, we would like to hold it at each of our campuses, but that's not possible. So we've partnered schools together so that George and Jones will have summer school together at George. So the schools that are highlighted in yellow are the actual sites for our summer programs, but you can see who they're partnering with. The schools that have the double asterisks after their names, those are the sites that will be partnering with the University of Arkansas. Okay, middle school will be 6-7 focus. Middle school principals wanted to run their program June 7th through July 1st from 10 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Again, personalized focus with literacy, math, science, technology, arts integration. Our sites for middle school summer programs will be Sonora Middle School and Hellstern Middle School, providing lunch and transportation. We're incentivizing our students, and again, 12 teachers with approximately 10 kids in each group, so about 120 kids at each site. Do you have any questions about our elementary and middle school summer programs?
How is that hiring for I know you're going to need quite a few teachers.
Yeah, I anticipate around 150 staff members for elementary and middle school summer programs.
Is that going to be a difficult task to find?
We think it might be. We've been working, trying to figure out ways that we can incentivize teachers to come in, so our team has been working with that. We have surveys that are ready to go out after tomorrow's principals meetings to ask teachers who is interested in teaching in what program. I think the CLIP grant program, a lot of teachers will want to attend that because Dr. Howard is kind of a rock star for them right now. They all are seeking her out. Principals are seeking her out, and so I think getting to participate in some professional development and then actually getting to watch her do what she's teaching, that's something that's not been done in our district. So we're super excited to bring that. So I think that will be an incentive. And then the other programs, we didn't run 5 days a week because we thought if we could get teachers in to do 3 days a week, we could give them a 4-day weekend. So that maybe didn't seem as daunting as a 5-day week. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Hello again. Okay, so now I will just quickly go through secondary summer school. Those are for our 8th through 12th grade students. So there are 3 different sites for secondary summer school, and our target audience is students who either need to recover credits or just simply need a personalized focus on skill building and closing an achievement gap. We will be hosting at Central Junior High, Springdale High School, and Don Tyson School of Innovation. So Central Junior High is the site for our 8th and 9th grade students. I have to give a huge thank you to Dr. Lofton. He appointed a leadership team to create this summer program, and it is teachers, Vale Black, Robert Fitzgerald, and Elise Tucson. And they have worked to create the most amazing junior high enrichment program that you have ever seen. And so I really have to give a shout out to them. There are built-in field trips, Field Trip Fridays. Those field trips will be to visit NWTI, the University of Arkansas, and Crystal Bridges. And one of those visits also includes a Barnes & Noble visit where each student will receive a book of their choice to be able to have. They also have incorporated SEL components to make sure we're addressing the whole child. And so that's the Central Junior High program. At Springdale High School, Mr. Jones, Mr. Eichenberger, and Ms. Anique Downing have worked with a team to create a flexible model that meets the needs of our 10th through 12th grade students. There are some neat incentives there, some small group instruction, and also a personalized focus where there gets to be a component where they get to do some things they enjoy while they're there as well. Don Tyson School of Innovation, same with Kelly Bortz and her entire team, Dr. Hopper, and all the virtual team. Virtual students who have fallen behind will be served on site at DTSOI. And so we're going to work really hard to bring in those families in a way that allows them to be distant and really work on closing any gaps that may have occurred this year during virtual participation. The date's June 3rd through June 24th. We're running sessions throughout those days. Some kids may be there all day, others may only come for certain sessions. We are working to provide lunch and transportation. And I just want to say to Jeremy White and Kathy Launder, to Gina Smith in food service, to Kevin Conkin in transportation, a huge thank you, because we are commandeering more than half of our 31 buildings in the midst of cleaning and maintenance. And we also are requiring bus drivers, food service, teachers, our maintenance. They're going to have to be sanitizing every day. And, school is not stopping this year. And so I want to acknowledge everyone. Our SROs are going to be visiting. We just all come together to ensure that if kids in Springdale need skill development, we are going to do everything we can to provide that opportunity. And it will be a huge undertaking, but it will be so worth it, and our kids need and deserve it. And so we are excited to move into our summer season. Any questions about secondary summer school? Okay, so just a super quick update for you on graduation and prom. I know it's been presented multiple times. Super quick, yes. So just a little bit about the different proms that are occurring. Archer Learning Center, their theme is Enchanted Forest. It will be April 30th, which is a Friday evening, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Each of these events are held on those particular school campuses, just so you know location. Don Tyson School of Innovation is also Friday evening, April 30th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Their theme is Senior Sunset. HAR-BER High School will be hosting a blue carpet event on May 1st from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., while Springdale High is also hosting a red carpet event on May 1st at the same time from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I just want to say that our principals, the teachers in the high schools, student committees, multiple student committees have worked really, really hard to think outside the box and to create really unique opportunities for our seniors who didn't get any opportunity for anything at all last year. If you think back to those seniors, and I know Ms. Fink reminds me often, her daughter was a senior last year. They didn't even get to come to school for the last 45 days. They didn't even get to come on their campus. So, I want to commend the students who have worked hard this year to think, how can we all get together and do something we enjoy in a safe way that makes us all feel comfortable? And our principals and those teachers have just been phenomenal. Any questions about those events?
I just want to echo that to the principals. I know that because I've received some of the same calls, I know that y'all have been inundated with letters, emails, phone calls, and I just want to thank you for the work that you've done with your students to make this the best, that we can have during this crazy time. And honestly, for putting up with all of the outside noise. Just thank you. I wish I could say more, but it's just thank you for handling it so beautifully, and just, even when I'm sure some days you wanted to do otherwise, but I know I did. But thank you.
I have one question, Ms. Tischer.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a personal question.
Sure.
Springdale is May 1st, it's not May 8th.
It's May 1st.
Oh dear. We ordered a tux for the wrong day.
Well, you need to make a call or send a text. It is May 1st.
Okay.
Yes, May 1st.
I was trying to find the communication, but I can't find it. Yikes.
What you're gonna do tomorrow morning?
Okay, and just one more revisit of our graduation ceremony dates, times, and locations. We are having 9 of those ceremonies. So we'll have 2 at Archer Learning Center on Friday, May 14th. We will have 2 for Springdale High, Saturday, May 15th, 3 for HAR-BER High, Saturday, May 15th, and 2 for Don Tyson School of Innovation on Sunday, May 16th. And you should have received Google Calendar invites for all of those from me. And I tried in each description to include pertinent details for you. And then in the May school board meeting, you will hear from each principal, and you will be presented with the graduation packet of information that gives you all the logistics and details and everything you could ever want to know about commencement 2021 during a pandemic. And so I am so proud of all of the high school principals and their entire teams and their teachers, because we just about pulled this off. And so we're excited.
Has anything changed as far as the U of A and their guidance and
No.
people coming and?
Just for the record, the U of A
Has not.
still has not given their students a time of when they're graduating.
For their commencements?
For there.
Wow.
I mean, Anna we don't know what time. We know what day, but we don't know what time yet. There's a disagreement going on campus with somebody, but they haven't let any, I think they've let one, but Fulbright doesn't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know if Walton does, but.
Are we still, for the ones that are at Bud Walton, are we still like having families and kids leave as they graduate?
As of now, the logistics have not changed.
That is going to be so sad for whoever's at the end.
Yes, we will cheer very loudly for those that are at the end.
Somebody asked me a question, which I know you guys have thought through it, and thank you so much for all your work, but like if we're asking families to get up and leave, what if they're blocking the next person? That it kind of worries me. Because like if somebody's trying to video it or get a good picture and another family's walking in front of them.
Yes.
Yes.
I know you guys have thought of all of it, but
Good response.
I wish I had a deeper comment. And I'm really not being sarcastic. I know that probably sounded awful, and it was that was a very genuine.
That's a genuine
yes.
response. Yes.
I do know that from the multiple meetings that we attended virtually with Bud Walton, that they assured us that the way they had mapped the bowl would be conducive to least amount of disturbance as possible during these ceremonies. And part of the May board meeting, you'll be given all kinds of diagrams and a full picture of exactly what all of this will entail and look like.
And we'll be there for 12 hours.
Yes, and we will have a room for you to rest comfortably in between.
You get hazard pay?
No.
So if you have to make 4 or 5 out of 9, you've still got a pretty good batting average, right?
Or 9 out of 9
Oh, 9 out of 9.
is like,
Do I get to wear tennis shoes?
you can wear whatever you would like, Miss Cook. Definitely.
So there might be a little relief on, I don't think anything will change at Bud Walton. sanitizing step in between might be, your time might be reduced some, because they've come out with some revised guidelines on having to wipe everything down all the time.
Yeah, the University of Arkansas has notified me that their logistics will not change completely. And I think probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that with Springdale, Rogers, Fayetteville, Siloam Springs, all using their facilities, them having to order tickets in advance to give to every graduate, because they're providing all of those tickets and mapping the seating and all of the things that they are required to do, the personnel that they'll be hiring or already had to hire in preparation. I assume that, that for us to change the times or for them to change the times. Yeah, no.
It may not be as big a headache in between.
It may not. I don't know.
Count on it.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Is there any way that we can have a universal tag for our cars so that we don't have to go out and switch it?
My understanding is that all of those things are coming, but I will confirm that.
Well, no, but normally we have one for Springdale and one and we put them, can we just have a universal? No, but.
We can do that.
Surely.
We can do a universal tag.
We
That's,
have all the schools on it or whatever, man.
we'll do that.
Just
We'll give you a 12-hour
just a thought
parking
process.
pass. A universal 12-hour pass. Yes. It would be our pleasure to do that. Whatever makes it easier for you all, we are happy to do. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
very
you
much.
for all of your work on this. I know it's been a year of planning and trying to, since last year, and I thank you. I thank everybody that's been in on this, and I know it's been a headache, and I thank you.
Well, thank you. We all work together. It's one big giant team. So thank you all, and I appreciate your leadership throughout all of this. All right, Ms. Clay.
Thank you. I will be brief in my comments. I am going to do the typical presentation that you're used to as far as our COVID-19 numbers, but as you'll see, they're decreasing and continue to decrease. So our reporting period, over the last month, there were 53 students and staff that tested positive. That's 0.2% of our on-campus students and staff. Out of those 53, 3 were staff members, 50 were students. If you ever tracked our daily numbers at the peak of what we were dealing with, it was not uncommon for us to have 53 in a day. So to see 53 over a month is really exciting. Same thing on the PCCs, 112 students and staff identified as PCCs over the last month. And again, we had days where we tripled that, identifying PCCs, so it's very exciting. And probably the most exciting fact out of all of this is 0 of these 112 PCCs identified subsequently tested positive that we know of. Just to see where we've been, these are our numbers starting in October until all the way through April, and then your cumulative total. We're trending in the right direction. I hope that May, maybe June will be the last time I give you this report, and we'll just forget that we ever track these numbers so closely. I did not do my typical graph of the impact survey, and the reason is our numbers have gotten so low on the weekly numbers of students and staff isolated in quarantine that the graphs are completely skewed. But just for reference, last week we had 0 staff members who were in isolation and 39 students that were in quarantine for whatever reason. So again, those numbers that we saw get very high at various points are now so low that it's just pretty much a straight line when you put it on the graph that we've used. Do you have any questions?
I have 2.
Okay.
Do we know the number of staff that have been vaccinated, number 1? And then the second question is, do we know of any staff or students that were hospitalized over the last year because of this?
We have had both students and staff hospitalized. I don't have a good number on that, but we have had that. I only know of one student, but we've had multiple staff members that were hospitalized. We did have one staff member who passed away as well, maybe more than that, actually. I can think of one. Oh, no, it was family members of staff members. One that passed away. Is that correct?
That's to my knowledge.
Okay. And as far as the vaccination numbers, Mr. Donnell, can you help with that?
We know for sure 1,963 staff members have been vaccinated all doses. And then also, in addition to that, we did a survey for about 300 that said that they did not get it in school. So you had that 1963 divided by 263, so we're at 300-ish.
That's much better than I originally thought we would have. That's amazing.
Yes, it's been also refreshing to see the number of requests for COVID leave are extremely low. So that's also been really refreshing.
So I have two questions. I think you answered one. End date for tracking, you said May or June, you're hoping?
I'm hoping. We haven't gotten that from the Department of Health. They're still asking us to follow the same processes that we have, basically. I mean, there have been some modifications along the way, but I'm hoping once students are off campus that they'll relax those requirements a little bit for us. So we'll obviously do what the health department says, but I'm hoping that the end is in sight on the tracking.
And then start date for this new policy that we did earlier. I mean, does that start tomorrow, or how does that work?
So it's effective as of your motion. We'll have to work through exactly the language, and I've already started doing that as I'm sitting back there. And then we'll also have to push it out to principals, to staff. So Dr. Cleveland is meeting with principals tomorrow, and I think that he'll start that process.
Meeting with Trent tonight, right after, to put out a statement.
So immediately, but processing through getting the word out and what that means will go quickly, but take a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Cleveland. I have several items for you this evening. The first one is in reference to school property, selling of school property. As you've probably read in the information and in the email that I shared with you earlier, the high bid for Tract 1, the group that bid on that, have rescinded their bid, thereby forfeiting their earnest money that they had put up. So the next highest bid was approached for that property for Tract 1, and they do wish to move forward with the purchase of that property. And so district administration would recommend that we sell Tract 1 to One Springdale Inc. in the amount of $375,760.
That we accept the bid for Tract 1 from One Springdale.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Krieg, a second by Mr. Emerson to accept the bid for Tract 1 from One Springdale Inc.
Question. What was the original bid that was retracted?
I want to say it was around $440,000.
Okay, that's fine.
Motion by Mrs. Krieg, second by Mr. Emerson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And then, as you know, Board, we have advertised Tract 2 on two separate occasions, once with a minimum bid and once without a minimum bid. Neither time we didn't attract a bid on either of those. The One Springdale Inc. has, this property is adjacent to Tract 1, and they have asked or have offered the same price per acre, which is $28,000 for the 4.5 acres. So it would be a total of, what did I say, 126, is it? 126,000 for Tract 2, and we would ask the board to authorize us to sell that to One Springdale Inc.
Make a motion to sell Tract 2 to One Springdale Inc. for 126.
I second.
a motion by Mr. Hutchinson, a second by Mr. Bell to sell Track 2 to One Springdale, Inc. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Board, the next item that I have for you this evening, and we have several representatives here with us tonight that could also speak to this. Our district put out an RFP for solar power services, and we received 3 responses to our RFP, and you have those included in the information. The most attractive proposal was from Today's Power. And so tonight we have with us Today's Power, represented by Michael Henderson. If you guys want to come on down. We have Derek Redfern and Mitchell Johnson from Ozarks Electric here as well. And so I think Mr. Redfern has created a 5-slide presentation for you that I'm going to let him go through.
Actually, Michael go through it, and I had an outline.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, first of all, let me just say how excited we are to work with you on this project. Today's Power is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Arkansas Electric Cooperatives. So we are in the local family of utility electric providers. Ozarks Electric is your local provider in this region of the state. So what we've done is we keep our eyes out for opportunities when we see an opportunity to help school districts, counties, cities. And in your case, with the RFP out, we have proposed a single access tracker system, and it'll produce enough energy to offset about a quarter of your usage on an annual basis. So we have a handout, and I'll go through it really quickly. I know the day's getting long. But the structure is we will enter into a contract with the Springdale School District for purchasing all the output of this system, which is about 4.8 million kilowatt hours a year, again, a quarter of what you use. We will construct it, own it, lease the site from you at the Sonora campus, and then basically you will pay Today's Power for that generation instead of purchasing it from Ozarks Electric. And in the process of doing that, you'll save over $100,000 a year off your electric bill. So no cash out of your pockets, none of that, no upfront cash, no commitment other than as you use electricity, as this system generates electricity, you just pay Today's Power instead of Ozarks Electric for that same energy. So, going forward, you'll enter into a solar power services agreement. A lot of the industry calls it a PPA, but for tax-exempt entities, you can't buy kilowatt hours, you have to buy services. And so it's a solar power services agreement, and that's driven by the IRS rulings on that. Again, zero upfront cost. The generation will come there on your campus. The bid was 5.5 cents, and so that's for a 20-year PPA. We will enter into a 25-year site lease with you, though. Because you're a tax-exempt entity, you really can't consume more than 80% of the estimated useful life of that facility without it being deemed that it was really built for you, and since you're a tax-exempt, you wouldn't be qualified for the tax credits, and it could be overthrown. So by having a 80% of that estimated useful life, then that protects the tax integrity, tax benefits that come, investment tax credits, and the accelerated depreciation that comes with a project like this. So that's how we transfer those tax benefits to you and lower the price. That estimates over $2.3 million over the 25-year term, assuming the 5 years after that is extended. We totally expect that to happen. We do have the potential to ask for the city of Springdale for a pilot agreement. That's a payment in lieu of taxes. And so instead of these being at the full property tax rate, it would be at basically 65% of the tax rate. And what that does is it allows that, if we get that, then we would drop the price to you to 5.28 cents. So that's a way for us to pass that pilot savings on to you in that form. And really, I've had this discussion with Mr. Hayes, when you look at how you capture that savings, you'd say, why would I give you a property tax reduction? Well, because you get certain funding from the state, and the more property tax you collect, the less they give. So this way, by it being a pilot agreement, you get that savings and get to capture that savings for the benefit of Springdale School District in your electric rate instead of a property tax. So, and then you would still get the same amount of state funding that you would have gotten otherwise. So it's really a win-win for you in that regard. The system will be about a 2.38 megawatt system. Again, single axis tracking. It'll be one of the most advanced solar tracking systems on the market. It's going to be 4.8 million kilowatt hours a year. It's going to take about a 22 acre footprint at that campus. We will spend $3.2 million, almost $3.3 million on that project for you. The anticipated completion date is June the 1st of 2022. We hope to be faster than that, but we definitely want to be done by that date. And the unique thing for your project is you're putting in the solar system, and you will be paying for the solar system through your kilowatt hour rate. Ozarks Electric will be putting in a battery storage facility adjoining that solar facility. So the energy that's created from the sun, instead of going into the grid at times that can be used better otherwise, it'll go into a storage system. And so that we've put a few of these into the market to use and test, and but this will be the fourth or fifth. But that will put Springdale School District at the forefront of modern technology. So it really will be a showplace.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask you. Has this been done at any other schools?
It has. So you say any other schools? Not any other schools.
Okay.
No, but we've done one with the city of Fayetteville. We've actually done two at their two wastewater facilities. We put a solar system in with storage system. We've done one with a commercial enterprise in Jonesboro, where they put in the solar, the utility put in the storage adjacent to one another. And we did something down at Hampton, Arkansas, near Camden, where General Dynamics put in 2 megawatts of solar, and the utility put in 4 megawatts, almost 5 megawatts of storage. So that really just helps manage that renewable energy better. Instead of scoring any kind of waste, it goes in and is a more productive resource by marrying those two technologies together. You will be able to have your field trips and go in and do tours and show, especially with the School of Innovation not being far from that, that'd be an ideal place for students to learn. And really, like you can see, there's 3 on the drawing board that were in the different stages of planning, and so those will be done this year as far as going through that planning process. For your system, because it's greater than 1 megawatt of solar, we will have to take that to the Public Service Commission and ask them to waive the 1 megawatt requirements limitation and allow us to build that larger system. And so that will be the first step that we take.
So how do you transfer out of storage?
It will go in to the storage and come out of the batteries as a DC energy, and it'll go to a regular inverter, converting it to AC, just like it will from solar to, if you went from solar directly to the grid, you've got an inverter that takes and converts DC power to AC.
Physically on site, so it's going to be transferred back to the school.
It'll be transferring back to the grid.
To the grid.
Yes. Yes.
Can you sell off that as well?
It'll go onto the grid, and to Ozark's grid, and they'll use it to serve all their members. Because, at 12 noon day, when solar might be producing the maximum, may not be the maximum value to Ozarks Electric. So by storing it and using it, say at 5 p.m. when it's the system peak, that's more valuable to them. So it's a better resource for them. So net metering, you've got the rights to do that. this is just a better way for them to manage that resource. It's really a great innovative approach to serving the members. Yes, sir.
One of my main concerns early on was access to the remainder of the property. And I just want to make sure you have it here in a public forum that we still have access to the remainder of our property. It's still used as a cross-country course and still. Okay.
That is correct. What we will do is in the site, at least an easement agreement, where we get access, lease that site, we will look at the 22 acres or so and say, this is how much we put in what we call an Exhibit A that says to be able to build it and construct and everything. Once we finalize the footprint of that system, we will actually fence in only the part that we need, and then that will be what the surviving lease will be on, just the footprint of the system, of the solar system and the storage.
Access to the remainder of that property is imperative for us.
That is, it is. Now, access to the solar system will be, it is an electric generating station.
We don't want to touch that.
Yeah,
We just want to be able to get to the rest of the
We'll be able to give
Safely.
tours on it, but it won't be an open access to the solar facility.
I guess I'll just add on, you see his planning statement that says OSP 1. That does have some school systems in it, Lincoln Public School Systems and Elgin Public School
Okay.
participates in this project. They're here on this issue.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
a little bit different concept, and the fact that it's kind of a shared resource for them. So we do have a
Yeah, it is, it usually will be the only one on school property.
The only other thing that I'm not sure I heard you mention is that the way it works is the meter that is generated on the solar side, there will be a reverse meter going on the Ozarks Electric side to credit us for the energy. I don't know, was that mentioned? Did I just miss it? Okay.
It may have been in the first, we talked about this a couple of months ago.
Right, we did, yes. Yeah, we'll actually select a certain meters that we will net meter these against. That production will reduce, then be consumed on those meters to bank. And so it ends up getting your 4.8 megawatts worth of kilowatt hours.
And I believe we've actually chosen to prioritize and aggregate metering. Don Tyson School of Innovation is one of those, as well as school, which is creating that anticipated savings amount. So we'll aggregate against those locations.
So we were so thankful to be able to partner with you on this project. Really excited to get started.
Kelly, is there a certain way that we need to word this in order to?
I think word it just as it's presented in the board agenda. We ask that we enter into a solar power services agreement
And it
and a
can-
lease agreement with Today's Power. Yeah, it could be done together. Sure can.
Board, any other questions?
Make a motion that we enter into a solar power services agreement and a lease agreement with Today's Power as presented.
Second.
So motion by Mrs. Creek and a second by Mr. Owenby to enter into a solar power service agreement and a lease agreement with Today's Power, Inc. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. It's exciting.
Thank you, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes, thank you for waiting through this. Kind of came in at a crazy night.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much.
I've been on the school board for 8 years, and it's interesting to see the different schools that are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, I just wanted to give you a quick update regarding the elementary rezoning meetings that we've been attending and presenting throughout the district. They have gone very well. We have introduced the families that will be attending Rollins Elementary. We have introduced them to Rollins Elementary, and it's been well received. As you know, we did talk with families that have been rezoned, and we've given them the opportunity, if their circumstances dictated that they could remain at their school, if that was in the best interest of their children to do so. We have had some families opt to complete that in-district transfer request. We are asking for those to be in by the 16th, which is this Friday. So once that day has passed, we'll have a better feel for exactly what the numbers are in our different schools. Any questions?
So we've loosened that
We have.
a little bit in order to let our families do what's best for them.
We have.
How much, from what you can see so far, how much is that going to affect our numbers at the various?
The only numbers I've heard are from Shaw Elementary and Young Elementary, and I believe the number of students who have requested to remain at Shaw that were rezoned is around 60, and at Young Elementary, I believe it's around
Thank you.
40. Any other questions? All right. The next item, Board, I just want to remind you and provide you some more information of the millage election that will be coming up on May the 18th. I've included in your information early voting information as well as the polling sites. Just as a reminder, we are going to be asking the public to allow us to extend our existing debt back out to a 30-year term. We're doing that for two reasons. Primarily, one is to take advantage of the lower interest rates, and the second is so that we can borrow an additional $90 million so that we can complete needed projects at Southwest Junior High, Central Junior High, and Springdale High School. All three of those projects that I just mentioned, the state is going to partner with us on the costs of those. In order for the state to partner with us, there's a timeline that we have to meet. And so we need to go ahead and be working toward these projects now. So we're excited. It looked like about $35 million would be the state partnership amount that would go with our $90 million in order to complete these projects. What else do I need to say, Dr. Cleveland? Anything else about?
When are we going to start educating the public on the wording?
We've actually started. Mr. Hayes and I visited Rotary. I'll be visiting the Planning Commission over next week. And we will prepare a campaign that will just go out. We have a flyer that's being worked on right now. That will educate our patrons.
So it will explain extended versus adding.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. This would not be an increase in the millage rate. It's just simply extending the millage rate that we currently have in place.
Do we have bids for those projects yet?
No, no.
What do we think? I mean, the 125 million is, do we have a rough guess if that's going to cover it all, or?
That's our
Increased cost.
estimate.
You know, when talking Quinco, had we waited to build the elementary school later, we could have seen a 30% increase to that school and not been able to afford it. So time is of the essence, obviously, and I think that's your point. We will be limited to the amount of money we can raise. So without doing any second lien bonds and other things, we'll just have to make sure that we can afford what we build. We know what the POR is, which is the program of requirements for each of those facilities. We know that what the state's going to supply to us, and we'll have to lock in with our architect and our construction managers and really try to drill in and get the best product, obviously, for the amount of money we have. We can't overextend. That's not what you've allowed us to do in the past, and we know you won't let us do that again. So.
If we're successful in our request, then we will immediately sell bonds this summer and then do a second issue the following summer. So we would have all funds on hand, ready to move forward quickly.
The good thing is, Mr. Emerson, we do have ESSER funding that we will be able to use for other projects, HVAC and so forth. So that is money we didn't have expected, or we weren't expecting, and was not in our building fund. So that provides some additional savings for us to be able to, plus the sale of the property and all those properties.
Any other questions about that?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. White?
Okay, before you get started, is there anything special about today?
Not that I can think of.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm getting old, so I can't remember.
Happy birthday, and
Thank you.
I would sing, but we don't want that.
So I've got an update, and I added Rollins in just for you this month, so.
Just for you. Don't you feel special?
I do feel special.
Well, she just keeps getting treatment, doesn't she?
Yes.
So these pictures are from last Friday. The exterior, they actually started putting windows in yesterday in Area A, which is the west side. About 80% of the bricks on the building other than the kitchen. That's Area B on the east wing, so they actually are putting more wall panels on and finishing up the brick on that end. This is the sky bridge that joins the two on the second floor. They actually, they poured this about 3 o'clock yesterday morning. So it's done, and then they've also poured, those are the learning stairs, and I mean, those are huge compared to any set of learning stairs we have in the district, so they're really cool. They should have all the roof panels on this week if weather permits. That's just a photo of the crane lifting them up onto the structure. So, and that's actually the cafeteria. So it's got about a 40-foot ceiling right now. That's the HAR-BER dance and wrestling room. So about the only thing left really is a final punch list, and then that's the flooring. So it has to acclimate for about 10 days. They'll lay that, finish it, and that project will be complete.
And those ceiling fans.
Yeah, we're working on that issue.
Okay.
Are they too low?
Hmm?
Are they too low?
Yeah, we can't, I mean, the chair will have a lot of difficulties.
Some haircuts.
But it's,
Yeah. So
but it looks
this,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looks a lot better than the last time we looked at
I
it.
gotta put, is this the wrestling also?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So will this be where we have wrestling meets?
They'll be in the gyms still.
They'll still be in the gym.
This
Is
is
this
when
just
they
a
have
practice area?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's no bleachers or anything in this
That's
room.
what the kids got in the hallway, and
Mhm.
were able to, they were very impressed.
Yeah. So that's actually the hallway, and I mean, it's pretty much finished up. So it's looking really good. The HAR-BER locker rooms, they're coming along real good. They're doing initial grading on the grounds and everything, so we didn't quite get the HAR-BER Wildcat up on this in time for this meeting, but it'll be up this week. So it's moving along. The parking lot is striped, so it's complete. That's just a few views of it. It'll add handicap parking and everything close to the athletic complexes, which will be good for the games, I think. Wayne's pretty happy with it. Here's the Springdale locker room. So we did get the bulldog up on it, and it's backlit in red and looks really good. So that area will actually get AstroTurf and batting cages, and we'll probably start on that this week once Shell gets the final grading complete. And that's a view of the inside of the locker rooms. So that's all of my construction update.
Great job.
Do you have any questions?
It's all for you, so is there-
It wasn't for me.
Yeah. And we can, do tours anytime anybody wants to look at the Rollins Elementary. Dr. Thompson and I met Friday and spent probably 3 hours. So she's very excited on.
Are we on track to be?
Do they have estimated completion dates for projects that big?
When's the start of school?
Yeah,
Are we
the
all
day
gonna need to
before.
be there with our-
Yeah,
Probably.
Are we gonna do like an Archer
Yeah.
and all
Yes,
hell
I think we're all
breathing?
gonna have a party there to get it ready.
Yeah, yeah, I think we will. So, but they're making good progress. The heat and air units are in, ductwork's in, a lot of the conduits are in area A. So,
Just in case they're finishing area A, in case area B is not, we can still have school.
and the last steel was the kitchen, and it landed on site. So, they're starting all the steel structure. They should have it closed in probably within a few weeks, and that'll help. Then weather won't really bother us. They do have all the paving is complete for the first layer at the whole building, so that's going to help a lot.
That's good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. I'm glad to be here with you tonight. For the past few months, along with serving our students and working hard to serve them in our classroom, SEA has been partnering with AEA and other public educators across the state to advocate for our students and for public education during legislative session. So I'm sure you all know we successfully defeated a voucher bill in the House that would have diverted millions of public funds to unaccountable private schools. And we all know how important it is to our public schools that we receive those funds, not only for our students in our schools in Springdale, but because 94% of the students in Arkansas attend public schools. Dr. Cleveland has always been an advocate for public education, and I just want to recognize his efforts in speaking against that bill and working hard to support public schools. He was a great asset in that, so thank you.
Tucker, that wasn't much fun, I'll tell you.
Well, thank you. There are currently 2 voucher bills in the Senate, and one is in the Senate Education Committee, and last night another one was filed in the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee, and we're watching them very carefully, and we just appreciate the work of Dr. Cleveland and other administrators in helping us with those. We're also watching for possible changes in teacher insurance premiums. There is currently a $73 million shortfall in the public school employee health insurance program, so we're keeping an eye on that as well. So our members have been really busy advocating for our Springdale students and just for public education across the state. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for sitting through the.
You had your chance.
Only if we get to sing.
Okay, I'll go sit down.
It's not that important, is it?
Yeah. I wanted to thank Corey and Renee for bringing snacks over to the bus drivers a couple weeks ago. They really appreciated it. So, it was nice.
Nice.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And let's give a shout out to our SROs, stayed here all night.
And if there's nothing else, then the meeting is adjourned.